The invitation arrived on a rainy Thursday morning, folded inside a cream-colored envelope that looked far too expensive to belong in the mailbox of a man who counted every dollar before buying groceries. Rowan Mercer stared at the elegant handwriting while his 7-year-old daughter, Ivy, happily watered the tiny flowers growing in chipped clay pots outside their modest rented home. Life had never been generous to Rowan. After losing his wife to illness 3 years earlier, every sunrise became another promise that he would somehow keep his little family together. He worked 6 days a week repairing antique furniture, skipped meals so Ivy could enjoy fresh fruit, and smiled even when exhaustion settled into every part of him. He had long accepted that miracles belonged to other people. Inside the envelope was an offer unlike anything he could have imagined. A wealthy business executive named Celeste Ashcroft wanted to hire him to pretend to be her husband on weekends for several months. The arrangement sounded unbelievable, almost absurd, but the payment would cover Ivy's education for years and erase every debt hanging over Rowan's shoulders. The proposal carried one unusual condition. He would need to convince Celeste's aging father that their marriage was genuine. Across the city, Celeste lived inside a world of polished marble floors, glass offices, and endless meetings. At 34, she had built one of the country's fastest-growing technology companies. Investors admired her intelligence, newspapers celebrated her achievements, but none of that mattered to her father, Victor Ashcroft. He believed the family legacy needed someone who valued compassion more than profits. His greatest disappointment was watching wealth slowly replace warmth inside the people closest to him. After a serious heart condition reminded him that time was running short, Victor announced he would rewrite his will before the end of the summer. Celeste knew exactly what that meant. Unless her father believed she had finally built a meaningful family life instead of chasing business success, the Ashcroft fortune would be donated almost entirely to charity. She respected charitable causes, but she also knew thousands of employees depended on her company remaining stable. Desperate to ease her father's worries without rushing into a real relationship, she accepted an unusual recommendation from an old family attorney. The attorney had once met Rowan after he restored a century-old rocking chair without charging extra because it held precious memories for an elderly widow. That single act of kindness stayed with him. When Rowan and Celeste met for the first time, neither felt comfortable. She expected someone looking for easy money. He expected another wealthy executive who believed every problem could be solved with a paycheck. Instead, they found two exhausted people carrying invisible burdens. Rowan spoke softly about Ivy and his small woodworking shop. Celeste admitted that success had come with loneliness she rarely allowed anyone to see. Their conversation remained respectful, honest, and surprisingly warm. The first weekend at Victor Ashcroft's countryside estate became a test neither expected. The old mansion overlooked green hills, peaceful lakes, and gardens blooming beneath bright afternoon skies. Victor welcomed Rowan with a long handshake rather than suspicion. Instead of asking about business, he asked about family traditions, favorite meals, childhood memories, and the simple things that revealed character. Rowan never pretended to be someone else. He spoke about fixing broken tables because every scratch told a story. He described teaching Ivy to plant tomatoes behind their home. He admitted missing his late wife every single day while trying to build a joyful future for their daughter. His words carried no performance, only quiet truth. Victor noticed something his daughter had overlooked for years. Rowan listened before speaking. He thanked every housekeeper by name. He carried heavy boxes without being asked. When a gardener accidentally dropped expensive flower pots, Rowan knelt beside him and helped clean the mess without hesitation. For the first time in years, laughter echoed through the old estate during dinner. Victor smiled more in one weekend than he had in months. Celeste watched everything with growing confusion. She had hired Rowan to play a role, yet he behaved exactly the same whether anyone was watching or not. Nothing about his kindness appeared rehearsed. Late Sunday afternoon, Ivy visited the estate for a family picnic. She ran across the grass, laughing as butterflies drifted through the gardens. Victor spent hours listening to her stories about school and the little birdhouse Rowan had built for her. The elderly man saw something priceless in the father and daughter, a bond built not on wealth but on unwavering love. Driving home beneath a clear blue sky, Celeste realized the mansion no longer felt cold. Rowan's presence had quietly changed the atmosphere. Weeks turned into months, and every weekend revealed another piece of Rowan's character. He repaired an old piano simply because Victor mentioned his late wife loved hearing it played. He organized a neighborhood charity event using leftover wood from his workshop to build benches for a public park. He never accepted praise, believing that helping people should not require applause. Then came the afternoon that changed everything. Victor quietly summoned his attorney and completed a new version of his will. The news reached Celeste only days later. She assumed her father had rewarded her for finally appearing settled. Instead, she discovered the will contained a surprising condition. Most of the family's fortune would remain protected, but its future would depend on one person, not her, not distant relatives, but Rowan Mercer. Victor explained that money should always follow character. He had spent decades building an empire yet learned too late that kindness could never be purchased. Rowan reminded him that true wealth lived in ordinary people who chose compassion every single day despite hardship. Whether Rowan eventually became family or simply remained a friend did not matter. Victor trusted his judgment more than anyone else's. Those words shattered every assumption Celeste had carried about success. For the first time since building her company, she understood that leadership was measured less by quarterly profits than by the lives quietly changed through everyday acts of kindness. Months later, the weekend arrangement ended exactly as planned. No contracts remained. No obligations survived. Yet Rowan still visited the estate with Ivy because it had become a place filled with genuine memories instead of appearances. Celeste often joined them, leaving behind boardrooms for afternoons spent planting flowers, sharing homemade lunches, and watching Ivy race across sunlit gardens. Victor's rewritten will had never really been about money. It was about ensuring that the next generation inherited compassion before wealth. And in the end, the single father who believed he had nothing left to offer gave an entire family the one treasure they had been missing all along, the courage to love people more than possessions. If this story touched your heart, thank you for reading and sharing its message of kindness, hope, and second chances with others.